Big news from the CDC yesterday as they finally released what cruising could look like for both vaccinated voyages and non-vaccinated voyages starting in mid-July through the rest of 2021. Let's take a look at what the CDC has shared with us now. Okay, here we go. The news yesterday that was released by the CDC is probably not what you or I wanted to hear. It's for sure not what the cruise line industry wanted to hear, but I will go ahead and tell you my spin on it before we get into the news. There's a lot of it, okay? While it seems like we're taking one step forward and two steps back, the news yesterday really surprised some of us, especially Frank Del Rio, who's the CEO of Norwegian Cruise Line. He's already put out some comments about the news. But in all honesty, what it shows us is that the cruise line and the CDC continue to be in communications daily. They are committed to bringing back cruising. And when something like this is released that has a perception of being negative to maybe the community, the cruise community, it still is a step forward, okay? It is still something that it's almost like a football that the CDC has thrown to the cruise line. The cruise line must catch it, they must digest it, and they've got to make the next play, okay? There's a lot to look at here. Please, if you don't mind, subscribe to this channel so that you can get all the most recent news and updates as they come, and they're coming frequently. As we've seen in 1 week, we've gotten so far. We've been able to learn that vaccinated cruisers could be on a ship in the United States port, leaving and waving goodbye to the coast if 98% of crew members are vaccinated and 95% of passengers are vaccinated. That is still set by several cruise lines, including Carnival Cruise Line, who we cruise often, as a goal. Okay, but yesterday, the CDC mentions a document with totally new guidance and what cruises could look like, okay? Now here's where it gets interesting. Whether you're on a vaccinated cruise ship where 95% of passengers have been vaccinated, 98% of crew, or a test sailing, it's gonna look about the same, it looks like, okay? Test cruises now, they must have 10% passenger capacity. We talked about that yesterday, and they can be as short as 2 days, okay? Two nights, 3 days, and they can go as long as 7 days, okay? All volunteers for the test cruises, you may be vaccinated, okay? That is an option. You can be a vaccinated individual and go on a test cruise, okay? Or if you're not vaccinated, you have to have a letter or some sort of documentation from your healthcare provider saying that you are not at high risk of contracted COVID-19. Okay, and most doctors will do that for you. Okay, and we figured this. The cruise lines in March of 2020, before they stopped operating, they ended buffets as we know it, okay? Instead of a self-service buffet where you plate your own food, the buffets were still open. The food choices were still open, but instead now crew members made your plate. You walked through the buffet line and you would say, can I have that? Can I have that? I need extra bacon. Okay, and they would make your plate and you would get it. They would make your ice cream cone for you, okay? You may be embarrassed because usually your cone is that high. They may have given you one that high, but you can always go back for a second, okay? They served you your own drinks. You didn't get your own drinks in March of 2020. That's gonna remain in place. We expected that, so nothing new there, okay? The cruise ships, the CDC says the cruise ships must require social distancing. It must have family units or parties that came together poolside, okay? In entertainment venues inside the ship, okay? It's even reported, the CDC says, that even in the pool, that you need to stay together with your family. And it could be, listen to this, for those of you who like hot tubs and jacuzzis, it could be one family or one group that are together in the hot tub at a time, okay? You may have to have a check-in time, okay? We'll see what cruise lines do with that, but that is what it is, okay? So we have social distancing, and the masking is really, that's what's up for debate here, and the fact that The CDC was very hard and heavy on masking. We can understand indoors, but the CDC even referenced that you may have to wear a mask indoors while you eat your nightly dinner. Okay, your appetizer may come. Here's your shrimp cocktail. Okay, shrimp cocktail's good. I'm done with that. I may have to put my mask on. Okay, until my next dish gets here. That's the way it reads. Is that what will happen? We have no clue. That's the way it reads. It also says that masks have to be used outside when you're not eating or drinking. Okay, so if you're laying out in the sun enjoying a nice Caribbean day, the warm sun is on you, it's 90 degrees, you may have to wear your mask, is what the guidance says now, okay? Remember, the football is now in the hands of cruise lines and CEOs and the beards, okay? They are now trying to digest this and see what can we go back to the CDC and discuss, okay? Now, this is an interesting part too. On test cruises, okay, cruise companies will have to end the test cruise if 1.5% of COVID-19 cases are detected in passengers, or 1% COVID-19 cases are detected in the crew. Okay, 1.5% in passengers, 1% in the crew. How are they going to determine this? Will there be testing beyond embarkation and disembarkation? Okay. I don't know. How are they going to tell if more than 1.5% of passengers have it? We'll see. The CDC has not determined the threshold for ending revenue cruises yet. Okay, so those who may be paying for the cruise, vaccinated cruise, that it was clear in the memo from the CDC that they are not included in this stipulation. Okay. The CDC previously has already said last week that it will require companies to test all passengers and crew on embarkation and debarkation. Okay, fully vaccinated people, and this was released last week too. Fully vaccinated people will be required to take just the rapid test. Okay, and then those who aren't vaccinated will take a full PCR test. Okay, that's a lot. I mean, that's a lot, and it really gives us a visual of what cruising could look like. Will we be wearing masks inside? Yes, I think that's a determinant, and I think that's accepted by the cruise lines and maybe the majority of cruisers. Okay, do we want to? No, we don't want to. Is it necessary? You can argue that based on if it's a test cruise or a vaccinated cruise. Okay, I know there's all kinds of beliefs out there. Okay, my hope is that we can cruise, and if it's something that's reasonable, we're going. My wife and I are going July 24th on the Carnival Vista. Okay, will you have to wear a mask outside? As of now, the way the CDC memo reads, yes, you will have to wear a mask outside. Will that be ultimately what happens in July? I don't know. I really don't know. Okay. I mentioned this earlier. This is almost a gut punch. You know, you almost, I know that we've been excited for a full week and we're ready to go. We're ready to get started, and we're really starting to think about our travel and flights and hotel and excursions and all of it. Okay, but then you read this late yesterday and you feel it in your gut. It's not what you want to hear. It almost feels like a step backwards, but it is progress. I promise. Even though it's something we don't want to see, it's progress, and it's proof that the CDC and the cruise lines are working together. And there's going to have to be compromise in this battle between both parties. There's going to have to be compromise between us as passengers and what we see in cruising and what we're used to seeing when we're cruising. What cruising is ingrained in us and what it means and what it feels like and smells like and what we can do. We're going to have to compromise. Cruising is going to look different than what it looked like March 2020 and before. It really is. Does that mean it's not going to be fun? No. Does it mean it's going to be a different experience? Maybe a little bit, but it may be enhanced. There are positives to it. If there's a limited capacity, you know that's a positive thing for a cruiser. I don't have to wait on as many people. I don't have to see as many people. I don't have to wait in line. I don't have to fight for a lounger. Ultimately, though, we want to get back to where we're in a normal place, and we will get there. But for those of us that love cruising and who find peace in the islands, the Caribbean, the Bahamas, and the ship itself being an island, then we can compromise, okay? Frank Del Rio, again, he's been the first really CEO to comment on some of these frameworks for selling in the memo. And Frank Del Rio, he went off and said, really to the extreme, that we're not going to be able to sell in July. With this news, we can't sell in July. And he's upset because really, Frank Del Rio came out in April, I guess it was, early April, and said, we will vaccinate 100%. Let us know what we need to do. He said, and this is a quote from him, I'm disappointed at first read. I'm going to give the CDC the opportunity to explain and clarify. And we have a call with them this afternoon. So you can see that this football, they're already in the game, okay? He also said, we're willing to vaccinate every single person on board a cruise ship. There isn't another venue on earth, not a school, not a factory, not your office, that can claim that you can be in an environment where every single person is vaccinated. Okay, that's tough to argue with. That's tough to argue with. Okay, at the same time of when we think maybe that's a positive thing, it's maybe a safe environment. We see that there's a battle brewing in Florida with Governor Ron DeSantis, he's been a cruise proponent. Okay, he's filed a lawsuit. He's attended rallies to end the limit and the ban on cruising. He's done everything, I think, in his power to help get the restart going. But at the same time, Florida signed into law banning vaccine mandates, okay? And does a cruise line who requires a vaccine, or a CDC who requires cruise lines to require vaccines, is that a vaccine mandate? Can cruise ships sell vaccinated sailings out of Florida? Or will the state of Florida say, no, cruise lines, you cannot ask if a person's been vaccinated? That is up in the air. And Frank Del Rio has already said, he said, here's his quote here to Wall Street Analyst. He said, but at the end of the day, cruise ships have motors, propellers, and rudders. And God forbid we can't operate in the state of Florida for whatever reason. There are other states where we do operate from, or we can operate from the Caribbean. We certainly hope it doesn't come to that, okay? And we don't either. Carnival, just a couple weeks ago, kind of said the same thing, not regarding vaccines, but basically we can move our ships. We can move them wherever we want to move them. And so there's so much going on. And if you're a cruiser and enjoy the news, you're like a kid on Christmas Eve. We're waiting to see what cruising looks like. We're waiting to see, are we for sure on? I mean, can I pack my bags? You're waiting to see what's next. And so here we're going to discuss what's going on currently, but literally I can post this video and it could be out of date later today and tomorrow. And that's where, of course, I will post another video. I hope you've enjoyed our time this morning. It's island time, okay? We can come together and we can be in whatever island you want to be in. Mine right now is a cruise ship. I want to be there. I don't care where it goes. It's got to go somewhere. I don't care where it goes. I just want to be on a cruise ship. I hope you have a great day. Please subscribe for all the latest news and updates. I'll do my best to keep you updated. If you have questions or comments or concerns, leave them in the comment box right below. I will answer whatever I can. And I thank you for being a part of this community. Okay? We'll talk to you soon. Thank you from Island Time.